Letting go of the past is one of the hardest things that we can do as human beings. The past can come up to haunt us, and if we're trying to reinvent ourselves, the past will continue to come up. This is not a new problem in the modern age. This was always known throughout history, and it has been shown through metaphors and allegories throughout the years, in stories and in paintings. And today I'm going to share 2 paintings that will help illustrate this point, and it'll help you to understand your mind and understand why it's so difficult to let go of the past. Now, the first painting I want to show you is Simon and Pero. Now, in this painting, you will see a young woman breastfeeding an old man who's in prison, and in her arm, she has a baby. Now, in this particular painting, the backstory is that this young woman's father was put in jail. Now, he's supposed to be there and he's supposed to serve a life sentence. He's not supposed to come out, and essentially they just want him to be in prison and die of starvation. Now, the daughter goes in, sneaks past the guards, and since she's not allowed to sneak in food or anything, has to resort to breastfeeding her father in order to nourish him. And now what's happening here is she is giving up the breast milk she's supposed to give to her child in order to give to her father. Now, this particular painting is usually interpreted by saying this shows the love of a daughter to her father, which is viable. But now, in order to understand this on a very deep level, you have to apply it to yourself, because these characters in this particular painting are metaphors for things that happen within us psychologically. When it comes to our old self, this can be represented by the old man. So if we have an old way of being, an old identity that we want to give up into something new, usually what happens is we are very stuck with the past. And this is perfectly represented in this painting because we want to reinvent ourselves. We want to become new. Let's say we have an old way of being that is very harmful to us, that doesn't serve us in any kind of way. It's old and we want to get rid of it. So what happens is we can put this in jail. We can say, I don't want to see this anymore, and let's just leave it over there and let it rot by itself. This is what's supposed to happen. Now, there is a side of us that goes back there and continues nourishing our old self when it should be left to die and rot by itself. With a very negative old way of being, this is something that doesn't benefit us. But for some reason, our mind is very attached to it. And this is what the painting represents. The little baby in this painting represents the conception that we would like to be, the future that we would like for us to be. Whether we want to be more confident, we want to be able to do more things, establish more hobbies, whatever it may be, this represents the future. Now, the breast milk represents the attention we give. So rather than give the attention to the past now, it's our job to give attention to our future, to nourish the future into the thing that we would like for ourselves. The next painting I'm going to show you is called Scene from the Great Flood. Now, this is a painting depicting the flood from the Bible. Now, in this one, it's much the same. You'll see there's much the same characters and much the same setup. Now, this is a painting from the 1800s as well, and it has the same symbolism in it. Now, what we must do is do the same thing and apply this to ourselves. Now, superficially, this is showing a man saving his father. And now, again, this is usually depicted as the love of a son for his father, where he would rather save his father than to save his wife and child. Now you'll see his wife and child drowning to the right. Now he has to pick one and he picks his father. When it comes to applying these principles to yourself, the man represents you. And we, again, always choose our old way of being. We would rather save our old self than to move forward into our future, which is represented by the woman and the child. Now, instead of nurturing and saving the woman and the child, he just saves the old man, his father. And the reason I want to point out these paintings is because this is nothing new. And when it comes to illustrating letting go of the past, these paintings do a very good job because it's always told in a metaphor. And when you read stories on a very deep level, you'll find that when you apply them to yourself, it'll always tell you things psychologically about yourself. In order to let go of the past and to go forward in your life, you have to understand this principle. We have a natural inclination to save our old self and prevent it from dying completely, and this happens on a subconscious level. When giving up your old self, it can feel like you're letting go of a very important part of yourself because you have established an identity with your past and you feel very close to it. It's almost like being best friends with someone else, and you've been best friends with this person for a very long time. And for some people, it can be like you're best friends with someone that you grew up with. So you've always known this person. So you have an identity with yourself, that you have this identity of being this particular person, so that when you try to become someone else, it feels so foreign and you can't let go of the past, so much so that it's actually something that can be considered sad. It's something you don't want to let go. So many times when we try to let go, this is why it can be difficult. Your past is supposed to die. Your past is supposed to be left in the past. Many times we bring up the past and we bring it to our present life. And if our past has been something that we want to forget, then this is something that definitely should be forgotten. The past is supposed to stay in the past, and we can't go back and change it at any point. But we can change the way we think about it and just leave it back there, rather than continuing to bring it up and continue to resurrect the past. We want to look forward and look forward to the person that we would like to be. And this requires us to look forward and to never look back, because as soon as we look back, we become reattached to the old way of being. And our old way of being is so attached to us. We already have muscle memory. We already have pathways in our brain that are very used to being this way. So we have to establish a new way. And this is represented by the little child. Little children need lots of guidance that need to be taught. And we need to teach ourselves how to be and how to grow and how to establish a new way of being until the point where the little child can become a man and stand on his own 2 feet without the nurturing of the mother. Then once the child becomes a man, then it will take care of you. What is interesting about both of these paintings is, if we were typically in the position of trying to choose what is morally correct in both of these paintings, we wouldn't choose the old man, because we would logically say, well, the old man has lived his life. A child still has the rest of his life to live. So logically, we would always choose the child and the mother. And so you can tell these paintings were painted for that specific purpose, to tell us a message, a hidden message, to let go of the past and to look forward. We don't want to be stuck in the past anymore. It does not make sense for us to dwell in the past, no matter how justified, no matter how painful the experience was, no matter what happened back then. It's important to just leave it back there. And this is one of the most important lessons that we can apply to ourselves in order to move forward and to establish all the things we would like for ourselves. And ask yourself, what is it that you want? Do you want more success? Do you want more confidence? Do you want to be a better person in general? Well, all of those things are possible, and all of those things are just waiting to happen. It's just waiting for you to let go of that old man. Let the old man live out his days and die in peace as you look forward to the future and raise your child, and that is the desired state that you would like for yourself.